This is the week when the rubber meets the road. The reason for that is I actually have an opportunity to put into practice some of the things that I've talked about in previous 52 Weeks of Meaningful Connections, as well as this week's Meaningful Connection, which is, in order to be a good networker, one must network. I am going to a conference next week and I don't know anybody. I booked the conference sight unseen. I'm traveling by myself, staying by myself, and don't know anybody. So I'm admittedly freaking out just a little bit. So I decided to take a deep breath and do two key things that are helping me prepare for this conference. One is tactical and one is mental. So let me walk you through those right now. So for the tactical one, I'm actually taking advice that Katie Razul gave in week 10 about networking while introverted, and that is to connect in advance. I've taken a look at the conference schedule, I looked at the presenters, the speakers, the facilitators, and I've reached out to a handful of folks on LinkedIn, and in my personalized invitation, I've simply said, I look forward to hearing you speak at the conference next week. The work you do at X Place sounds very interesting, and I'm excited to learn more. And so far I've met with a few responses, so I expect to keep doing this in prep over the next couple of days, but it's making me feel good to know that I have a purpose when I'm headed into different sessions and different audiences, is to know that, oh hey, I asked so-and-so to connect and this is the panel they're on. So it will give me a little bit of confidence as I look to make a connection in that particular portion of the conference. The second part, the mental part, which is something that I hope all of you try to use, is to remind myself of when I've been successful in situations like this in the past, in order to cut out any of the negative head talk that could be telling me, why are you doing this? You don't know anybody. You're just going to stay in the corner, go hide in your room. Because clearly those thoughts may have crossed my mind. But instead, I've reminded myself of times when I have done well in situations like this. One is what I talk about in week 12 of 52 Weeks of Meaningful Connections, which is a networking event that I went to and had a great time at. And I only knew a couple of people in that audience, and it turned out to be really good time well spent. And the second is to remind myself of my coach training program. The training's not offered in my market, so I had to travel out of market 3 different weekends with different cohorts of people I did not know that morning when we started, but by the end of 3 days, knew people pretty well. And I can say I've made some terrific friends from that experience simply by showing up, being myself. So I'm going to remind myself that simply by showing up and being myself, I should have a great time at this conference next week. Not only walk away with great knowledge and some new connections, but hopefully some friends at the end of the time as well. So if you're up for it, head over to the blog and check out week 12, which is where I dive into the experience of networking, which made my evening very enjoyable, and pick up some tips for yourself the next time you're hosting or attending an event. And remind yourself the next time you're headed into territory that feels a little uncomfortable, when have you been successful in the past and it's worked out just fine because you've got something inside yourself that made that situation work for you. Thanks for listening, and make it a terrific day.